All right, so seeing as I'm not going to be using these lights again, mostly because like that one smashed and I glued it together and everything, I just cut the wires directly off from that. So that will be it for those. And then I attach the wires onto the LED, soldered them up. I've got some heat shrink tubing on here. I'm going to hit the heat gun, and then that'll be sealed up. All right, so those are heat shrunk. Looking pretty good. That's almost ready to go into the bumper here. And I got a bunch of this stuff. So I'll just put some of that on there, and that'll protect us against... Now, because you can never get electrical tape around something when it's that close, what I usually do is I'll electrical tape it here, and then just slide it up. All right, so that will do the trick. That's protected. I'll be able to put that in now and not have to worry about that becoming a problem later on. All right, so I just have to put a wrench on the back of here and then tighten these little fellas up. All right, I'm not gonna bother to permanently route this just yet. I'm just gonna connect it up, and that way I've just got the light in place, but I think this is gonna go inside of this mount and probably out through the hole or something like that. I don't know, I'll figure that out later. I can do that when the bumper's off. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing to this side. These are just finger tight right now. So just put this one in basically to get the French into position. I gotta make sure I don't use the ring behind it. Also, the ring, when you put this back in, this ring has a cutout that needs to go to the top. Otherwise, that ring's not going to be correct. And now I'm just gonna do basically the exact same thing that I did to the other wires. Stretch them back out again, put some heat shrink on it. Also have to figure out what the heck is going on here. Looks like probably just a splice, but if those are just splices, I'm gonna cut those and then reheat shrink them. Because hey, I got a heat shrink gun, might as well. All right, so these wires are really short. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give them a little bit more run room here. Not that much, but I need to twist the ends of it. So I basically want them both to be about the same length. So I'll just trim the end of this off. There. And then I can twist these together, but first I gotta put the heat shrink tube on. Don't jump any steps. You always want to try and get your solder joints as decent looking ahead of time as you possibly can. The better off you do on that, the better you're going to be after it's soldered. Because if you got a whole bunch of wires sticking out from the sides of that, solder's not going to cure that. All right, I mean, that's soldered. It's better than just twisting the wires or using those plastic crimp things. I mean, I'm still going to cut this and change it out, but yeah, I'd rather see something soldered even crappy like this than to see something using those plastic crimpers. My favorite video on this subject is from Rye Guy, and I will put that in the description because that pretty much sums up my feeling on those crimp connectors. All right, that one looks fine. I also do tape probably about like every 4 inches or whatever, just to keep the wires from jumping out of the loom at any point. Oh, this worked so much better when I practiced it. Come on. Yeah, I'm going to edit that to make it look like I did that first shot. So then I'm going to put the ring on the back and then start tightening these down. Just got to find a... I'm going kind of like random so I don't get them tightened funny. I mean, it's not like rims or anything, so you don't really have to worry that much about it, but I don't know. If you do it with one thing, you do it with everything. You stay in practice. Get them off. Nope, I did not. Good thing this wasn't a Mack truck. I'd let somebody's tire go off the side. There we go. So once again, I'm just gonna toss the wire in there because this has got to all come back off again anyways. I'll reconnect this and then test it again just to make sure we're still good. Keeping in mind that there is a fascia that's going to go underneath this, that plastic bumper. That's why I kept that lower half of that. First, it protects the radiator because otherwise junk's just going to come straight up into here. And it's also going to hide a lot of this ugly wiring. All right, now this I found kind of interesting, and I had not noticed this before. There's an extra bulb in here. So let me turn the light switch again forward. So that's your headlight. Turn the headlight off, and then you get a running light. Isn't that an interesting way of doing it? So that's your running light. Let's see if we can do a flash thing. There we go, there's the high beams. Just having a hard time getting a high beam. So that's high beam. Running light, and off. Huh. It's interesting. I would have thought that there would have been a running light on these side things, but I guess there's not. That's just directionless. All right, so this is an old door to a server rack. Whenever they're throwing stuff like this out, I grab it because I know that someday I'm gonna use this stuff. Although this has been sitting here for quite a while, so. But at least I can justify it in my mind to my wife. That's why I keep this stuff. The garage door openers, I've just been too lazy to get rid of them. They're actually junk. I also have this to choose from, which is the back rock guard came off my RTV on the back window. I may end up using this because this has larger holes and will give actual, it'll give better ventilation. Yeah, the tighter holes of the server rack door would look cooler in here because it'd be a finer mesh, but you wouldn't really see what it looked like. It would just look more like textured metal in a hole and really wouldn't provide any airflow at all. And what I really need is airflow, not necessarily a cool aesthetic. So I think that's made the decision. If anybody's wondering why I would take apart a perfectly good screen, let me show you something. Oh, it's gonna be hard to kind of see. This is what you see when you're plowing. So if you turn around to back up, everything is obfuscated. This, you can see my hand through it pretty good, but this is terrible when you're backing up in the snow during a snowstorm. And it's just, like, even though this is on the inside and it's not actually gathering snow or anything, it doesn't act very well as a guard. It doesn't do anything. It's basically 100% useless. I don't know why they put these things on. They were expensive and stupid. All right, so I got kind of a choice. I can either go this way, or have the pattern go this way. So this is more traditional. I'm gonna think on this for a minute. All right, so this is what actually ended up making the decision for me, is the holes line up better so that I don't have to do anything creative to get the bolts back through. Because if you turn it this way, you'd have to cut too many of them out and it's liable to shift and move around. I don't want it shifting and moving around. I just want it to stay in place and do what it's supposed to do. Let air go through. All right, so my original thought was to put this on the inside and sandwich it between the two. But it doesn't sit flush because there's a support member here on the side, and the way the angles and stuff are, so it's just not going to work. So I'm going to sandwich it in between the two of these, and then I guess that bezel will look more like it matches that one there. So yeah, I just need to cut this so that it doesn't stick out beyond what this looks like, because I don't want jagged edges sticking out there. I certainly hope this is worth the 275 years that this is going to take me to do this, because if not... So yeah, I cut the rough with the grinder so I just could get it close, and then I just gotta notch it by hand now, because it's pretty much the only way to really do this in order to get these things not to be damaged, because I basically want this just to be held, and that's it. Alright, we're getting there. Boy, did this take a whole lot longer than I was expecting. I'm going to cut the right-hand side with that once I mark it with the white pen. And then I kind of still have to do these by hand, because the grinder will just make a hell of a mess of that. Alright, good enough for gummy work. And I'll just set that right down on there. Yeah, I think that's going to do fine. All right, yeah. I definitely like it. Way better decision go this way. One of the things I did notice is that the hardware probably could use some washers on there. Didn't come with it, but I'll probably put some on there, because I don't know, it just shouldn't have that much of a gap around there. To be honest, that was one of the first things that I noticed about this this kit, is that all the holes, even though they're laser cut, the hardware is all undersized for it. So you can see, I mean, they could have put a 1/4-inch screw in there. Not that I might not do that later on, but it's just, you'd think with like laser precision that you wouldn't go that fast and loose with it. But I guess when you're trying to put something together cheaply, you run what you're prong. And quite honestly, this is pretty heavy duty. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that the hardware could have been properly sized. I did that one entirely with the grinder, and I actually think I created more sharp edges than I had before. So, lesson learned. Cross-cut dikes were the better way to go. All right, that'll do it. Get you lined right up on your pins. Yeah, that'll do it. Grab the other bolts, put them together, and bob you're on. All right, good. That's going to do what I need that to do, because I need to get air through the radiator. Good. I like it. It's definitely better than the LED lights that were in there. The LED lights, they weren't super valuable for that, and these do actually have bracket mount points. So what I'll probably end up doing is I'll use a set of these on the RTV, and maybe a set of, well, maybe one of these lights for the back for backup lights on this truck. We'll see how ambitious I feel later on. So much of this stuff all over the place. Probably could have thought of this ahead of time. Yeah, didn't feel like it. Can I get that off of there? Well, yeah. I'll be darned. Honestly, I thought it was going to pick up the whole metal tray. So yeah, that's some stuff I don't need in my tires. Clean that up. And back on the nail it goes. For next time. So I found this in my soldering kit. This is a demo that I had done. I was teaching a class at our college on soldering, because they're doing a lot of 3D printer work and things like that. I think one of the main things I wanted to get across to the students working was they've got fume suckers and everything else going. But one of the things that's often overlooked is people will touch the solder and they'll touch the solder reels and everything else like that, and then they'll lick their fingers, and that's usually where you get the lead ingestion from. It's from that, not necessarily the smoke. So you got to be careful when you're done soldering. Always make sure you wash your hands, because if you rub that in your eyes or you rub that in your mouth, well, that's where Proposition 65 in California comes from. People doing that too much. All right, so I just disconnected my wires. I'm going to undo the bolts on here, throw this bumper in the back of the machine, because I got to do more welding work. Got to finish those things off, and then we'll be ready. I keep saying that, but I'm never quite ready.